Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. It is 2023 NFL draft season. Doing one of our first mocks of the season. And again, we got ROC here. You know it's draft season when ROC is here. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you guys for the support you guys have shown. Again, if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. That is the best way you can support the fellas. And we love chopping it up with you guys about the NFL draft prospects in the comment section. So let us know what players we're sleeping on, what players we might have too high. Definitely let us know your takes on the quarterback situation because it's about to get heated between Rock and I here. Without further ado, though, Rock, Houston Texans, I think we can agree on this. Bryce Young, quarterback one. This seems to be a lock.
Yep, it's consensus. Get him a field general, someone who's been a leader since high school on each of his teams. So
I love Bryce Young in that Bama offense, which I thought was just an absolute joke this year. He had bad wide receivers, bad offensive line play. Bryce Young was the reason that Alabama team was even decent. Like if you don't have Bryce Young, I think that team's going like 8-4.
So could you imagine putting Bryce Young on Ohio State the past 2 years?
Yeah,
that offense might never not score.
Yeah, Bryce Young. I think he's just so clearly the best quarterback. Now, the Chicago Bears, here's where I think it gets interesting is you don't need a quarterback. We're not going to do a trade for the Chicago Bears. It would make a lot of sense if they trade out and kind of acquire some capital to a team that might want to get CJ Stroud as quarterback too. We're going to keep Chicago where they are. And good news for them, they get their chops at whatever Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, two guys who are going to fundamentally change your defense and provide just absolute – I mean, Rock, I'm going to kick it to you for this. Who do you have as your best player on the defensive side of the ball here?
It's Jalen Carter, and it's mainly because of his consistency from last year to this year. I think Will Anderson did kind of have an odd little drop-off for a couple games.
I'm with you on that. Will Anderson, I think it was just because how good he was last year. People just expected him to put it together again. Will Anderson's still very, very good. But when you look at how Jalen Carter played from the inside, I mean, he's one of the best run defenders in the whole entire country, probably the best run defender in the whole entire country. 17% pass rush win rate from an interior defensive lineman. That's next level stuff. I mean, in terms of being a disruptive force on the inside, I think it is a no-brainer. Seattle Seahawks at 3. Geno Smith, probably not the future. Are we looking quarterback here?
I like the quarterback spot right here just because you can transition him after Geno's done. Because obviously, Geno's not going to be the 10-year plan.
Yes.
Right? He's got a couple more years in him, and we've seen this before with different quarterbacks. They have one great year, and then the team's like, all right, are they the future? Not really. So for me, CJ Stroud is the obvious quarterback too. I know you may disagree a little bit, but I think it's for what the Seahawks like in a quarterback. They don't want to do too much. They don't want like a Will Levis type who's going to have to be a gunslinger. I think Stroud can just run a simple offense, get the ball where it needs to be, and use his accuracy to kind of lead the Seahawks where they need to go.
From a pure film study, CJ Stroud's quarterback too. I do have some question marks about. I mean, he's just like Justin Fields, sitting behind the best offense line in the country, one of the best, throwing to first-round receivers. Will Levis, I liked a lot more once I got into his film. That being said, I don't think I'm ready yet to put Will Levis ahead of CJ Stroud. Here we go. This is my favorite pick of draft season. The Detroit Lions, just the full-on rebuild. It seems to be working. I think the obvious pick here is Will Anderson. You have a generational talent at pick number 4, but do you want to go to the future and take a quarterback? Rock, what are you leaning here?
Yeah, this is going to be a debate until April 26th that we're going to have. And the variations of either Will Levis or Will Anderson is going to drive some Lions fans crazy. For me, I just like taking quarterback early because, again, you don't know when you're going to be in the spot again. Top 5 picks, very valuable. I don't love Will Levis. I have Will Anderson higher as a prospect, but I understand the thinking where you let Goff go for a year or two more, kind of transition Levis into a great offensive line and great system and go from there.
And I actually I was not a Will Levis guy until I kind of really got into his filming. He played behind one of the worst offensive lines in the SEC, was throwing to 2 true freshman wide receivers in a transfer. The offense I thought schematically wasn't great. I didn't think Will Levis was that bad though on the film. And again, when you talk about traits and projecting a guy, there's a reason why all the NFL teams love him, even though a lot of college football fans don't. I mean, he's got a rocket arm, generates a lot of velocity easily. Accuracy, questionable at times. I think that has to do with a lot of broken pockets he was throwing from. I think this makes a lot of sense, though, because when he starts, he's going to be into one of the best systems. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, behind one of the best offensive lines in the league. I am very excited to see Will Levis in a situation where he's kind of surrounded by talent.
Yeah.
Pick 5. I think this is kind of a no-brainer. If Will Anderson's there at 5, I don't know how we let this happen, but it happened. The Cardinals have to take him.
Yep.
Pick 6. They also need a quarterback. Now, the top 3 quarterbacks on the board are all taken. Are we rolling the dice on Anthony Richardson here?
I mean, you have to. I think this is a team that is very likely to trade up with the Bears and jump a few spots to get a quarterback. Their offensive, I really say their offensive line this year has been maybe one of the worst in the entire league, and the health of a lot of the players as well has been concerning. I wouldn't mind a Skoronski, but if you want to go for the future, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor would be a fun pairing.
Peter Skoronski is a guy that's going to come in and just be really, really solid. That being said, I do think it's so dire for the Colts where it's almost like you want to just take Peter Skoronski, build the offensive line depth, and wait till next year and maybe have a shot at like a top 2 guy like Drake May or Caleb Williams. We're going to take a shot at Anthony Richardson just because when you talk about projecting guys' traits, a lot of people talk about Will Levis. Anthony Richardson probably has better traits than Will Levis. A howitzer of an arm. He's by far the best athlete in this class in terms of running the football. He needs a lot of work. 53% completion percentage just simply ain't going to cut it. He's very raw, too. I mean, this was his first year starting in a new scheme. I like a lot of what Anthony Richardson brings to the table, and I kind of think he's worth rolling the dice here. And again, if you're looking for like your next Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson needs a lot of work, but he does have some of those freakishly traits, and I think teams are going to want to kind of play the lottery there. Pick 7, Atlanta Falcons, another team that needs a lot of help. I think this pick makes a lot of sense with Myles Murhpy. Rock, I don't know if you probably have gotten into Myles Murhpy, but a team that needs help stopping the run and rushing the passer, Myles Murphy's going to give you that.
Yeah, he's a perfect mix for them, and that's a team that struggled with pass rush for the past couple of years, and someone like that, a young guy that can kind of step in and become something for that defensive line is huge for them.
And kind of like the same discussion we had with Arnold Ebiketie last year and what he's going to provide to the Falcons, like very good against the run, but also very good against the pass or rushing the passer. Myles Murhpy, for a 6'4", 270-pound dude, his get-off and ability to win outside of tackles is phenomenal. I'm a massive, massive fan of Myles Murhpy. Carolina Panthers holding the bag again. No quarterbacks that really. I mean, like I'm not going to take Hendon Hooker in the top 10. You got to probably go best player available. That's probably Bryan Bresse.
Yeah, you can do that. Wide receiver is also a need here.
Ooh,
I don't know how much more DJ Moore wants to stay on that team with whatever quarterback they roll out year to year. I would be fine with Bresse. I don't know if Carolina fans are going to love this pick, but I think it makes sense, and it bolsters that defense, which has been turning it on as of late.
Yes.
But you never have enough young defensive linemen.
And like Bryan Bresse, I think can be like a true freak. There was a point in the offseason last year where I wanted to have the discussion, was Bryan Bresse the best interior defensive lineman in the class? So that's obviously wrong. Jalen Carter is that guy. I still think Bryan Bresse is a damn good college football player, and he's going to be a very good pro, and it's kind of just eating your vegetables with this pick. And then to the Philadelphia Eagles, they have no holes in this roster, but sitting with the top 10 pick. The question for the Eagles fans is what makes this team 1% better here?
Yeah, and I think that you can look at the defensive side of the ball, and
yes.
I know they have Slay and they have Bradbury. I don't think I'm as high on Bradbury as the rest of, I guess, fans. Okay. But it would also make sense to go edge here because, I mean, they have some guys with Sweat. Brandon Graham's kind of getting older. I think a good comp for Verse would be a Brandon Graham type player, and I think it makes a lot of sense for them, especially.
I love Jared Verse. There's so much talk about Tyree Wilson. Jared Verse is an absolute freak. 24% pass rush win rate. Very, very good against the run. And you look at his film, first year playing Power 5 football, he was banged up for most of the year and still was dominating. And you watch the film of when he was fully healthy in that LSU game opening weekend. He's a freak. I think Jared Verse is well worth a top 10 pick and is going to make whatever team he goes to that 1% better. I think he's the best player on the board available. I love the Jared Verse pick. And then the Raiders, I think you could go cornerback here. They need a lot of help. I kind of want to take a look at the cornerbacks and have a discussion of who our favorite cornerback is on the board. Rock, I know you like Cam Smith. What are your takes on kind of those top cornerbacks here?
Yeah, looking at Ringo, again, one of the stiffer cornerbacks. We saw it last year. It might be a system thing where like Kendricks from last year, we thought was slow and stiff, made an NFL roster and looks really good in the Rams. I'd be okay with that pick. I love Cam Smith just because he's kind of that
JC Horn.
JC Horn kind of player with the kind of get in your mouth, set the tone. And I know you like Witherspoon from Illinois, so I'm fine with either of those guys.
We'll split the difference and go Kelee Ringo. I think he's number 2 on both of our boards. Again, Kelee Ringo is going to be very good. Where he needs to go, he needs to play a lot more zone coverage because, again, in man coverage, it's keeping up with not great. But again, a guy's 6'2", 210 pounds, runs a 4.3. Like, the traits are there, the length is there. Looks like he should be playing linebacker when you watch the film on him. Like, he's built like a house. I think NFL teams will probably fall in love with the traits of Kelee Ringo. He's going to test really well. I'm good with that pick in the top 10. And then Jacksonville Jaguars, they are doing a very, very good job rebuilding that offense. I think you need help on the offensive line here. Peter Skoronski, we can talk a little bit about our offensive tackles here. I have Paris Johnson as my first tackle off the board. That being said, I think Paris Johnson, a little bit more of a project. This Jacksonville Jaguars needs some guys now. Peter Skoronski, whether he plays tackle or whether he plays guard, is going to be a very good football player for you right now.
Yeah, and I like that pick a lot because I think they're pretty good at the tackle positions. They have some young guys on the outside, but putting Skoronski next to a Brandon Scherf and having him learn from him at the right guard position, I love that so much.
And I'm not totally out on Peter Skoronski playing tackle in the NFL either, because there's no piece of the film where it's like, oh, this guy can't play at the NFL level. It's just going to be the traits. Like, he's going to have probably sub 33-inch arms, maybe not the athlete like a Paris Johnson is. That being said, he's that Northwestern team that was so bad. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are just getting blown off the ball. Peter Skoronski was just nails. He's very, very good. Pick 12, we went with Bryce Young for the Texans first overall. You got to get him help. That wide receiver room is not good. Wide receiver 1 for both of us, Big Q Johnson.
Yep, Devontae Adams 2.0. I'm so ready to be right about him because he's just an incredible athlete.
Oh, my 6'4", the way he moves with that length and size, and also the ability to win contested, the body control there. I think he's like by far my favorite wide receiver in this class. Like, I like Jordan Addison, but Quentin Johnston, I think, could be really something special. And when you look at other teams, like, I don't think it's going to be crazy to see him go in the top 10. I just don't think a team needs a wide receiver. If the Houston Texans get this kid at number 12, I think that's just an absolute win. Bryce Young, Quentin Johnston with your first 2 picks of the 2023 NFL draft. Sign me up. Now, Steelers probably got to go offensive line here. We just took Peter Skoronski off the board. So you like Broderick Jones and Anton Harrison. Paris Johnson Jr. is kind of my guy. Where are we going here? I'll let you take the wheel here.
I'm fine with Broderick because he has so much experience in the SEC, and I think that they need someone who's going to go in and know what they're doing and play right away. So I like that a lot. He's great against the pass, but as a run blocker, he's just a mauler. So I love it.
He's an animal against the run, and he can play a little interior too. I believe he played that last year with Jamari Sailor at the left tackle spot. Paris Johnson Jr., I think, can be the best tackle in the class. I think he needs a little bit of work, though. In terms of, like, athleticism off the ball, very, very good. I'm worried about stronger, more explosive pass rushers just getting right into him. You saw Aiden Hutchinson kind of feed him in that 2021 Michigan-Ohio State game. It got better this year, but I don't say it was great. But in terms of an athlete, we'll talk more about him when he goes off the board. I really do like Paris Johnson. Pick 14, Green Bay Packers. They could go a lot of different ways, too. I know they're not going to pick a wide receiver, but I do think Jordan Addison is certainly worth a top 15 pick. He's my wide receiver too. Do you think that makes a lot of sense for the Packers here?
Yeah, they need a playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. Looking at their history, it doesn't look like this will be the pick, but we're just going to hope. We're just going to hope. Like, you got Aaron Rodgers for, like, not a lot longer. Like, give him some talent to let him cook again because he still has it. He's just throwing. They hit on Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. I think both of those guys are going to be really good, but Jordan Addison is about as polished of a wide receiver in this class as it comes. Great route runner. He gets open. He has reliable hands. He's an athlete. I think this would make a lot of sense in Aaron Rodgers just developing some of those young wide receivers. I'd be excited about it. Seattle at pick 15. I still like where Seattle's going as a franchise. I think they probably are just going best available here. And Rock, we've been talking a lot about Tyree Wilson. You think he's worth the top 15 pick here? For the Seahawks and grabbing Stroud in the top 3rd pick overall, it makes a lot of sense. I think this is a guy that's going to see kind of Trayvon Walker type of rise, and the traits are off the charts. The film isn't always the best, but you put him on a veteran defensive line and see if you can learn some from them and go from there.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson, definitely not one of my guys. I don't have him as a top. I don't even think I have him in the top 20 on my big board. That being said, I think just like Trayvon Walker, who I also wasn't high on, I believe he was number 9 on my big board last year. The NFL is going to love him, and there's a lot to love. Like he's got massive length. He can be explosive at times. It's just what you said, the consistency not always there. Pick 16, the New England Patriots. This kind of has me in a puzzle a little bit. Not really sure where they should go. I think best player available makes a lot of sense. And know who I've been really liking? I've been watching a lot of Alabama. Bryan Bresse. He's a guy that can do pretty much everything. And when you look at what Bill Belichick wants to do, he wants versatile guys in the back end. And when you can play, I mean, I think he'd be best as kind of like a walk-in box safety. He can play nickel very well. Did a lot of different things for Alabama. Teams want to get better against the run with maintaining the ability to cover speed. I think Bryan Bresse gives you that.
Yeah. I think cornerback has to be the pick here for them.
Yeah, so and you're getting a guy who's great around the line of scrimmage. Bryan Bresse and Antonio Johnson, I'm very, very high on for the reason I just said. Like, you're getting a guy that's very good in the box, a very good athlete, but also can cover guys in the slot. I think that makes a lot of sense. New York Jets at pick 17, they also have a lot of needs. They're probably not going quarterback here. I think best available probably would make a lot of sense here. Where do you think you're going here?
I'd like to give them some help on the offensive line. A Paris Johnson here would make a lot of sense for me. I think it's a good place for him to be as a rookie, or Anton Harrison, but I think Paris Johnson just makes a little more sense.
Paris Johnson, I think, can be the best tackle in this class by far. The athleticism he has is phenomenal. I think the play strength needs to get a little better, especially in pass pro, but he's an absolute stud. 18, another pick for my Detroit Lions. I gotta make sure we went QB of the future with Will Levis. I think there's some guys we probably gotta go defense here.
Yeah,
there's a couple of guys.
I'm fine with Witherspoon here. I'd be absolutely okay with that for the Lions.
Yeah, and so for that cornerback spot, I like a lot of these guys. I like Christian Gonzalez. I like Joey Porter Jr. And I love Devon Witherspoon. You take a look at what Devon Witherspoon did. 25% passer rating when targeted. And they brought the house a lot with that Ryan Walters offense. But in man coverage, he's an absolute seatbelt. He's got the length. He's a little handsy at times. And when I was going back, like, some of those PIs were kind of garbage. Like, maybe you have to clean it up a little bit. He reminds me a lot of Sauce Gardner in terms of being able to mirror guys and be physical while also just being able have that length. Devon Witherspoon, he's kind of my pet cat of this draft. I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot. They have very similar traits, but let's go up and get Devon Witherspoon. And then pick 19, Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't really know what this team's going to look like here. Where would you be going here?
Yeah, it's tough for them. They're in such a weird spot. Like, you don't know if Tom Brady's coming back. You don't know who's coming back in free agency. A cornerback would be nice for them as well. There's just not enough. Like, do you like their wide receiver core? Do you think that, like, they don't just blow everything up after the end of the year if Tom Brady leaves? It's just
I think they do. I think they do blow everything up. And then I also think they need really a lot of help on that offensive line. A guy I really like is O'Cyrus Torrence. I mean, what the Bucs are struggling with is they can't run the football. They're running the football for, like, the worst efficiency in the whole entire league. And it's not like the running backs are a problem. Like, Lenny Fournette, Rashad White are good backs. They just can't really get any movement. I think O'Cyrus Torrence, who's very good in pass protection and a mauler in the run game at 335 pounds. I think that would make a lot of sense. It's kind of one of those picks where you just got to eat your vegetables, go get a really good football player on the inside. It's not flashy, but I think it makes a lot of sense.
Putting him next to Tristan Wirfs would be something. I know they have the Patriots guy from a couple of years ago, or they traded for him. Forgot his name.
Jack Mason, I believe.
Yeah. But putting him in at left guard or something, that'd be nice.
All right, I'm taking the wheels for this one. I know they got your boy Chigo last year from Maryland.
Yes.
What do the Tennessee Titans want to do? They want to run the football. They want to get it to their tight ends. You guys think the pick is going to be Michael Mayer. It's not. It's going to be Darnell Washington. This is one of my favorite fits in the draft. I don't know if they'll get him this early, but Darnell Washington was going to get picked in this video because I want to talk about him. He comes in. I legitimately thought he should have played offensive tackle as a recruit, like 6'7", 270 pounds. He's a very, very good athlete. He's just so big. I'm looking at him as a true freshman. Like, wait, there's this, like, is he going to be able to make it work at tight end? This last year, he shows the pass catching chops. Only 2 drops on the season, over 400 yards receiving. But you can line him up and just play really heavy with him. He's the best run blocker as a tight end. Again, he legit could be an offense tackle. You get a really good big guy who is going to give you a big catch radius in the red zone. I know this is a reach. I know I'm going to get grilled for it, but I love Darnell Washington.
Yeah, I think the Titans make a lot of sense. I also think the Eagles make a lot of sense, even though they have Dallas Goedert. Someone like that on the Eagles that maybe they do reach for him, but he'd be a difference maker as well. So there's a couple teams to keep an eye on for Darnell.
And I don't even know if I have Darnell Washington as my tight end 1. I think Michael Mayer probably still going to be my tight end 1. That being said, for the Tennessee Titans, I just think it makes way too much sense. Washington Commanders are on the clock. Another team that probably needs a quarterback, but I just don't think there's a quarterback worth taking. I probably am going to that cornerback position. When you talk about best players available, I think the cornerback spot it is. Rock, I know Cam Smith is your cornerback 1 off the board. You good with this one?
Not that the Washington Commanders are getting him, but yes, I'm fine with the pick because the player makes sense. Yeah, I also like Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter. So if you want to talk me into either one of those two, I think that's
I'll
fine.
talk you into Joey Porter Jr. real quick. Very, very great length. Great in man coverage. He has 13 passes defended on the year, a passer rating below 50 when targeted, was tested in the Big Ten East. I would go Joey Porter Jr. over Cam Smith. I still think Cam Smith has some question marks with how handsy he is and can he play on the outside. You're getting an alpha with Joey Porter Jr. I'll go with Joey Porter Jr. here. LA Chargers here.
This is a team that it seems like no matter what, the pick won't be a bad pick because their injury issues every year are just substantial. I mean, they are one of the most unlucky teams in the NFL in terms of injury. So for them, you like to see wide receiver. You'd like to get speed on the team. I'm a huge Zay Flowers fan. It would make a lot of sense in that offense. Pair him up with Mike Williams and whatever's left of Keenan Allen. Yeah, that's ridiculous that PFF has him that low. That's a shame on them. But I'd love that fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michael Mayer makes a lot of sense too. But Zay Flowers, he was a guy that was getting offered a lot of NIL money to transfer out of BC, and we're probably talking about him a little bit differently had he transferred out. He's a big-time playmaker. He's going to blow the tops off defense, his ability to track balls. And I haven't gotten much into his film, but I've seen a lot of him play. I'll go for it because I know you like him. I could get down with some Zay Flowers, though. New York, we're probably going to get grilled in the chat for that, though. But
no, it's fine. I'll take that on every day of the week.
I'll take it on. The New York Giants at pick 23, another team that I love the direction that they are going in. You kind of know your NFC East real well. Where are we going with the Giants here?
I mean, they don't have a wide receiver that's nameable. I mean, they did get Wan'Dale Robinson, and Isaiah Hodgins has been playing really well. Again, I just don't know. I don't know who you get if you're a Giants fan because you need to trade up for like a Quentin Johnston if I'm a Giants.
If we're taking a look at these wide receivers, like I think we're both bigger fans of Josh Downs and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I see. It would make sense. But I just don't know if I trust Njigba that much. But Downs is open 24/7. I mean, open all the time. Pairing him with Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, Daniel Jones will be able to find at least one player that's open, even if they're not a huge name.
My concern is Josh Downs and Wan'Dale. Two of our, I mean, we loved Robinson last year out of Kentucky. You're getting two guys who get open, but you're getting two guys that play kind of a similar role. Like Josh Downs took, I believe, 80% of his snaps from the slot on that UNC offense. But again, if you're trying to make life easier for Daniel Jones, getting two guys who you said it best are open 24/7, can work the middle of the field very well, makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, if Michael Mayer's at pick 24 for the Ravens, they did just get that kid from Coastal. I'm blank. Isaiah Likely. Are we going Michael Mayer here if he's at 24?
They don't need him.
All right, we'll pass. Where are we going here?
It's a great question. Now, another team that desperately needs a wide receiver. I guess Njigba wouldn't be a bad pick here because he's the only one that even has wide receiver 1 traits that are left. So I wouldn't hate the pick. You just kind of have to guess and check.
I'm with it. Jackson Smith-Njigba is a guy that he's another one who's really, really good at the sport of football, gets open 24/7. If you watch him in 2021 when he's healthy, and especially when he's a wide receiver 1 in the Rose Bowl, like he's a freak. He's very good. The speed isn't going to be there. He doesn't have many traits of like a wide receiver 1. I think that's why he's probably going to slip a little bit.
Yeah.
Pick 25.
Let's get him Russ some offensive line help.
I like it.
It's tough to blame all the pressure and the poor play on Russ. It has looked bad at times, but their offensive line needs some major work.
And you're next. I know you're a big Anton Harrison fan. I'll let you cook with him.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great pick for them and someone they can kind of roll in for the next 10 years and be okay with him. So I love it.
From what I watched of Anton Harrison, and you know a little bit better about evaluating offensive linemen than me, but looks a little choppy, but he's very, very strong, dude. And I feel like if that footwork gets clean, because his feet just stop moving sometimes, but his upper body strength and his bend is like phenomenal. Like he just eats guys up.
He'll get himself in trouble, but like you said, his upper body strength kind of bails him out at times. I think that a lot of things that are wrong with him are coachable, and you go into a offensive line group that's got some players and has some good coaching. So I'd be okay with that pick.
26, Dallas Cowboys. ROC, what's your pick for your Cowboys here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple places that we could go. You could argue wide receiver. You could argue linebacker because I don't think Leighton Vander Esch comes back. And then you could argue a left tackle, left guard. But I think Trenton Simpson from Clemson, I mean, that's a fun defense if you get him in there.
Trenton Simpson is, like, again, we talk about you want to get guys who are good in space but also can stop the run. Like Trenton Simpson is what, 6'3", 240 pounds, but he's a freak athlete. Very, very good. He can clean it up a little bit in coverage, but like the traits are there for him to be very, very good at carrying tight ends, tackling running backs in the flat. Like if you want a modern linebacker in the NFL, like Trenton Simpson is that dude. And he's a top 20 guy on my board. I just don't know if a team's going to take him inside the top 20 at the linebacker spot.
Yeah. I just think that what we have right now is a young Damone Clark, a young, oh my goodness, what's his name? Jabril Cox. We have Leighton Vander Esch. I don't know if he returns. I think that Trenton Simpson's probably the one linebacker that can come in year one, start for a team, and actually make a difference. So
his ceiling is so high. The only thing I worry about Trenton Simpson, similar to the Georgia linebackers, is really easy to look really good when you're behind a defensive line like Clemson or like Georgia was last year. And I think Nakobe Dean and Channing Tindall looked sick, and Quay Walker looked awesome behind a defensive line that just eats up double teams. That being said, Trenton Simpson is just, I think he can be truly special. I think what makes a lot of sense for 27 for the Bengals, Michael Mayer.
Yep, I agree totally. I think another guy that can kind of stretch the seams. They need some production out of the tight end position, and Joe Burrow loves his tight end, so this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I already know what I'm going to do for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I hate doing it as a Bills fan. We got to talk about Bijan.
Oh, my goodness.
And the thing is, this could happen because I don't know if a team is going to take a running back that high. Like we talked about all these teams, they need more help than just a running back. But Bijan Robinson, he's going to be a top 15 guy on my board. I just don't know if a team is going to want to take a running back that high. If he goes to the Chiefs, you're getting one of the best running back prospects in my mind since probably Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott. Like he's that good.
Yeah, it's him and then a lot of other guys. But that offense has become so scary. That is crazy.
And he's like one of those rare running backs that can do it all. I mean, run between the tackles. His forced tackle rate is insane, but he's also a very, very good pass catcher out of the backfield. Andy Reid's going to have a field day with him. 29, the Minnesota Vikings. I think they should go with another wide receiver because Adam Thielen's kind of on his last legs there, and Justin Jefferson's a dog, but I think they could use another one. And do you have any pet cat wide receivers that we haven't really talked about yet?
Out of the guys that are available, someone that can kind of complement Justin Jefferson. I like Jalen Hyatt if you want to stretch the field with him and let Jefferson just be kind of a possession guy and literally just eat up the middle of the field. I think this gives them someone that they don't have right now. They have a KJ Osborne and they have a Jalen Reagor. Neither of them can really stretch it like a Hyatt could.
Yeah, my only question, I'll go with Jalen Hyatt here, and my only question with him is like how much was his success? And he put up freakish numbers, like 1,300 receiving yards. I believe he's averaging over 20 yards per catch. My question is how much was that scheme in Tennessee, and how much was it like him just winning one-on-ones and creating separation? That we'll see about Jalen Hyatt. I'm not sure if I'm sold on him, but I do think a wide receiver would make sense. The problem is the cupboard's kind of bare in a wide receiver heavy draft. Pick 30 for my Buffalo Bills. I want to go interior. I love Andrew Voorhees. He's played a little tackle, but I think he's a very, very good guard. He's very explosive, 325 pounds. The Bills, my biggest problem with the Bills, as complete as this team is the ability to run the football is not great. And I'm not saying we need to be a team like the Tennessee Titans, but I want to see better interior offensive line play. It's one of the few needs that the Bills have on their roster. Again, one of the more complete rosters. And Andrew Voorhees, I thought he should have left last year. He comes back, puts together another very good year. I think this would make a lot of sense for the Buffalo Bills.
I like it.
And if Bijan Robinson was available, I'd take him. Pick 31. I want to talk like Cam Smith, Rock. Who do we get the Eagles earlier?
We got them.
We could go with your boy Cam Smith here.
Yeah, I mean it fits the Philly mold in terms of the players they want, and you can put him behind Bradbury and Maddox, and he'll take over for Maddox after next year. So I like that pick a lot.
In this cornerback class, like if you want a cornerback, and we've already taken a decent amount of cornerbacks, like there's a really good cornerbacks. Clark Phillips, I think, is more of a slot guy, but Christian Gonzalez, I really like. Jalen Jones, I haven't watched much of him. I know he's a top 5-star recruit. Emmanuel Forbes, I'm a big fan of. I like a lot of the cornerbacks in this class. Cam Smith, I think he's sitting at 4 or 5 on my cornerback position ranks right now. But I'll go Cam Smith to finish out the draft. Again, the Eagles are just an absolute howitzer of a team. We're getting our draft graded. Again, this just kind of talking about some of these top picks and some of the bigger names in this draft. I really like what the ability that the Eagles have to just build a kind of a dynasty here. But
yeah, I also like what the Seahawks did. I mean, grabbing CJ Stroud and then coming back and getting like a Tyree Wilson who's going to be a developmental thing. But the upside on that team is awesome. And I think that the situation that Stroud will walk into is a lot better than people think. I think the offensive line got a lot better with Abe Lucas and some of the guys they're able to get in the draft last year. And you got DK Metcalf and Lockett and some of the other guys. So I like what Seattle's also building.
The biggest winner for me is probably the Houston Texans getting Bryce Young and Quentin Johnston. I think that'd be just an absolute banger of a draft for the Texans. Again, appreciate you guys checking out our first real mock draft of the year, talking some early prospects again. In the comment section, let us know. Definitely give Rock some crap about Tay. Who did you take that I just thought? Zay Flowers. Yeah.
Zay Flowers.
Light him up for that one. But again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you guys do enjoy it, consider subscribing. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.